I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought.
I can tell you that 7 years after Freddie Gray, that was 2015, spring, April, May. This is 2022. Communities like Sandtown, all we saw then and now in terms of investment was a renovated Western District Police Station and a new funeral home. That's what West Baltimore got. A new police station and a new funeral home. What kind of optics are they? Was Freddie Gray any different than 1968 Baltimore riots? Dr. King's passing, killing, murder? This is the same?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I think, well, first of all, people who are being violent and burning, that's, you know, all that's the same. But the point is what was the cause and what were they attempting to register?
I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns.
I love you.
They deserve it now. It's
got next.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. I hope that you are doing well. All right. So for those who do not know, and I tell you, I've just been working on this light here. We have a special guest coming on today, Mr. Leslie Vass. Now, from day one, Be More News has had a 5-point agenda. The 5-point agenda includes Black business, first and foremost. You know, that's near and dear to my heart. I grew up in a family business, and it brings to mind a recent event we had, and a lady asked me, could she bring her children? Or she said she couldn't come because she had her children. And if you know me, then you know I'm going to tell that lady and anybody else, bring your kids. It is important that we bring our kids to these business events. Having grown up in a family business, I got dragged to a lot of adult stuff as a kid. Business meetings, political fundraisers. I remember going to a political fundraiser for Art Murphy up Mondawmin. I remember it like yesterday. Couldn't have been no more than 11, 12 years old. My dad was introducing me to the political, how it works. You got to raise money. Every candidate has to raise money. But nonetheless, Black business. Black business is near and dear to my heart. Like Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford said, the more Black businesses are empowered, the more they can hire. And nobody hires Black people more than Black people. Number 2, public education. I think one of the biggest travesties right now here in the state of Maryland is the fact that we raise all of this money through gambling, sports gambling, lottery. When it first came on board, came online, when the idea first came about in 73, the #1 beneficiary was education. That's what they said. That's what the politicians said. That's what the politicians said. We're going to raise money for education. And what we see now is they were leading us along, stringing us along. They were lying to us, the constituents, the voters. They lied to us. They lied, they lied, they lied. Because if you were concerned about education, then we wouldn't have classrooms without heat. We would not have classrooms without air. It is a shame. And we all going to hell with gasoline drawers on until we correct this situation. It's unfathomable that you have a new baseball stadium and a new football stadium, yet you've collected over $15 billion from the Maryland State Lottery and table gambling and now sports gambling. But you don't have heat and air in your classrooms. We have failed these young people. And Fox can talk about the squeegee kids from now until the moon, until Jesus Christ comes back. But it ain't gonna matter because we have failed. We have lied to these kids. We have failed these kids. We do not have adequate recreation facilities for these kids, the ones we claim to love so much. We lie, our feet stink, we don't love Jesus, and we go around smelling girls' bicycle seats. #3, returning citizen services. Returning citizen service. Oh, you like that one? Yeah, my daddy used to say, you lie, your feet stink, you don't love Jesus, and you go around smelling girls' bicycle seats. He did not like lies. Returning citizens. America has 5% of the world's population. Did you know that? We are 5% of the world's population. 5%. 5 out of 100 people on the planet come from the good old United States of America. Yet America has 1 in 4 of the world's inmates. That means a country with 1/20th of the world's population has 25% of the world's inmates. Now, Black people, we make up 13% of the population of America, but we over 50% of the people in prison. So what's wrong with that? And then you want to get to the murders. We're half of the murder victims and half of the murderers. It don't even make sense. That's what killed me with these cats with these guns going around shooting people. You shooting soldiers in your own army. There's no need for a Klan. These idiots out here shooting each other. Our biggest concern, and as slavery ended in 1865, was the KKK. World War I. Soldiers go off, fighting for this country, come back home only to get lynched in America by a Klansman. Some retard inbred. But now we're doing it to ourselves. Surely Black people are smarter than that. Over killing each other over a Gucci jacket. Do you even know Gucci? #4, affordable housing. #5, universal access to health care. We've been pushing these 5 agenda items for 20 years, and we're going to keep on pushing them. Chose those 5 because, to me, they made the most sense. I knew I couldn't cover everything, but I knew if I kept at least 5 tenets out front, 5 bullets, 5 goals, 5 subcategories, that we could be effective in covering those things. And as it relates to returning citizens, we did a broadcast, a couple of broadcasts. And I just saw my guy, Michael Preston, who started the radio show back in '99. He left and I took it over. But I saw Mike, and we did years ago when we first started on OLB, we did a couple of broadcasts from the Fish Bowl. People in Baltimore know what the Fish Bowl is. That's the halfway house on Greenmount. And there's one Muslim brother I see to this day, and every time I see him, he say, man, thank you. He got out and is home, and he never went back. See, the thing about prison, and that's what a lot of us don't get, is the recidivism rate, the rate of return. How many people get released from prison, go back to prison? And sadly, the number is 7 in 10. 70% go back to prison. It's called being institutionalized. I grew up with a guy, I won't say his name because a lot of people still love him here in West Baltimore. He spent his formative years in prison. I would say from 15 to 35. He was afraid to come home. Can you imagine being so used to the institution? Maryland State Penitentiary, ECI, Hagerstown. Can you imagine being so caught up in prison that you don't want to return to the streets? Because everything is new and fun and strange, computerized. Some people I know, they went to jail before the subway. Subway was what, mid-80s? They were already gone. They don't know how to catch the subway. But it's a reality in my community. In my community, some people have conversations on the corner about their time in prison. It's hurtful as a Black man to see that that is the thing we have in common, that we can talk about over and over. I want to talk about my days at Morehouse. 2 of the greatest years of my life. I want to talk about Morgan State University. They told you don't stay on the bridge when you go to Morgan State. And many of us went to the bridge anyway. Some of us persevered anyway. But that bridge was quite a distraction. I want to talk about my first job. I don't want to talk about my first bit. But in the Black community, considering how many people do go to prison, going to prison is normal for some people. That's painful to hear, to think, to fathom, to understand, to comprehend. Going to prison is normal for some people. I don't want somebody telling me what to do, when to do it, when to get up, when to not get up. I don't want that. I don't want no parts of that at all. There goes Sisters for Sisters Network. And speaking of prison, as I see the Sisters for Sisters Network, one thing I've learned, and this is a part of growing up, because a lot of us Black men have not grown up, 60 and 70 years old, and still haven't grown up. Growing up is accepting responsibility for your actions. That's it. You made your bed, lie in it. You were warned. Now, I know there are a lot of people didn't have good parents, but somebody told you right from wrong. Somebody told you. Now, there are people, and I see the situation quite often, unfortunately, where the child is more the parent than the parent. It's almost like common sense and wisdom and the greatness of the ancestors skips a generation. We all seen it. Mom might have become an addict. Dad might have become an addict. And in the process, the child had to raise themselves. The child had to teach themselves certain lessons. Some people say in order to be a man, you got to see a man. I realized well into my 40s that I was one of the only kids in the neighborhood who had a father who lived in the house. For some of us, it was normal. And so today, for those many people who have daddy issues, the only thing I can say is we are not in control of the childhood trauma we've been exposed to, or that some have been exposed to, but we are responsible for the recovery. So I think our guest is here. He might be trying to get connected. This is where. So Leslie, you want to push that, you got some settings down the bottom. Let me see what we're talking about here. This is where my browser is at. Do I have to wait for? No, you don't have to wait for entry. Just come on in. But you want to cut that camera on, Leslie. Or we may just have to do this via phone. So let's go ahead and try this via phone. Hey, we're going to go with the telephone, okay? You gotta forgive me, man. I'm not the savviest tech person in the world when it comes to this. Okay, well, I think we can hear you loud and clear. Welcome to the show, Mr. Leslie Vass. Thank you. So we're live right here on blackusa.news. Introduce yourself, Mr. Vass.
I am one of those wrongfully convicted individuals who were in prison here in the early years, in the early 70s, as a juvenile from the age of 17 to 28, for an armed robbery that I was accused of that happened in 1974 when I was attending Southern High School and playing on the basketball team there and all. I ended up receiving a 20-year sentence for robbery with a deadly weapon and use of a handgun in the commission of a felony. Most of my time was spent between the Maryland State Penitentiary, the MCI Hagerstown facility, and the Maryland House Corrections. I became learned in paralegal services when I was in prison in Maryland State Penitentiary when death row was directly above me. I was taught by individuals who were up there. I then went forth and was fortunate and blessed to be able to find out the name of the individuals that I had actually been mistaken for, and finally was able to get someone came into the institution who knew about my story, told me that it was their stepbrother that was the one that I had been wrongfully convicted of. It took the state 2.5 to 3 years later after that before I was actually released. And I then petitioned the state of Maryland for compensation, became the first exoneree to receive compensation from the state up under then William Donald Schaefer's administration. Prior to that, I received a full unconditional pardon from Governor Harry Hughes for the charges that I had been wrongfully in prison for. That was done by someone that I hold in high esteem, former Congressman Perrin Mitchell. Rest in peace, brother. So, since my release from incarceration, I have actually worked for the state of Maryland in different positions as a fiscal auditor, employment specialist, and as a paralegal intake specialist for the public defender's office. I started my own paralegal service, which was called Legal Wizard Inc. I worked on numerous other individual cases, helped prepare their release with information that I've supplied. And I just recently was awarded compensation up under the Walter Lomax Act from the state of Maryland in the amount of $577,000. The issues that I've been having, Donnie, has been since I came home at the age of 28, I've been constantly impacted by the wrongful conviction that the state admitted that I have not been convicted of correctly. And my issue is if I have all these constant expungement orders that's been put in and signed by different administrative judges over the years, why do I still have to answer for this no matter what comes up? I've had a traffic ticket. Went to court for a traffic ticket in 2015. Now, remember, my conviction was all the way back in 1975. I got an expungement. The first expungement was done in 86. 2015, I went for a traffic ticket. The judge brought the case up and was discussing the actual conviction, even though he knew that it was a wrongful conviction. It tells me how the judicial system really hadn't changed. But then I still went on, Donnie. I felt that no matter what, I became a father since I've been home.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Praise the Lord.
Come on, man. I love him, man. I got to say, Donnie, I got 9 kids, man.
9?
9, bro. 9. I've been home since October 1984. My first son was born in 1988, okay? I'm 65 years old, man. Why am I still being impacted for a wrongful conviction that happened when I was 17? I listen and watch how the news media publicizes the difference that's going on in the Adnan Syed case. I have the utmost respect for those that's involved in that in regards to his freedom and all. But I've been fighting with the state of Maryland and been impacted by this since I was 17.
Well, let's go back to that. You say you have a lot of respect for those who have been helping him?
Yeah. Because let me share this with you. In 2018, I met a lady by the name of Susan Simpson, who was the one that actually did work in regards to his case, okay, at the Anderson Network Conference in Memphis, Tennessee, when I was down there for they had the largest exoneree march then, in regards to the civil rights of Martin Luther King's assassination. That I had an issue with, but I mean, I was there. I met her. She was one of the individuals who was instrumental in getting his case brought before the people out there in the media and all. Okay, I've networked with a couple other individuals who worked in that case because I remember I worked for the Public Defender's Office. I networked with the Innocent Project, the Mid-Atlantic Innocent Project, the Innocent Project from New York, Innocent Project from New Orleans.
Big brother, I got to tell you, over the years, I have shared a lot of information about the Innocence Project, Color of Change. They are a good organization, Innocence Project.
Yes, they are. I give them, I have to say this. I met Barry Sheck and Peter Newfield before they even started the Innocent Project. You understand? Because I was home before all that started. There was no Innocent Project back then, okay? And I've networked with them, and I've networked with a lot of exonerees from all across the United States. And I've met the first exoneree from Africa. And me and this brother still networks, bro. You understand? So I feel as though they're positive, but I have my own reservations about the timeline that is done in regards to individual cases. Now, let me share this. I say this as an exoneree and one who did his own case. It doesn't take that long once you get the information and you submit it. It's up to the courts to act on it. A lot of courts do not want to overturn or reverse a conviction. Look at what's going on in regards to our Saeed's case. The first thing people are trying, nobody is limiting or downplaying the actual crime. That's, God forbid. I have all the sympathy and condolences for the family of those that have been victims of this. But if you're not innocent and you haven't done anything and you are just being used as a pawn by the system to secure a conviction,
So it's more about securing
it's
more about securing a conviction from anybody.
That's what it is. Yes, it is.
Than it is about the truth. So I guess on that note, considering how much the media has tried to trash Marilyn Mosby, I guess this is a vote of confidence in this case.
Man, I had nothing but utmost love and respect for the sister. I've never met her. I had a law firm that actually handled my case that's in the same building she's in.
You never met Marilyn Mosby?
Yeah, the same building that Marilyn Mosby's office is in.
But you never met her?
I've never met her. I wanted to. I truly did, because I wanted to share my information with her to show her how the judicial system does a person. I'm not talking about word for word. I'm talking about documentation. I got paperwork to show that a governor, an attorney general for the state that represents the public safety and correctional service system actually applied for and got an expungement order done on my behalf. That's illegal. How can you convict me and then you turn around and go get an expungement order done and a memorandum issued, but nobody wants to talk about that because I'm not one of the, quote unquote, popular exonerees, because I speak what I feel.
Hold up, you ain't so popular, so you're not supposed to have any feelings about this. You're supposed to just go along to get along.
That's all it is. God, that's all it's been. Since I dealt with this thing back when Cody Smokes was a safe attorney, you know the deal, Donnie. I ain't just started this with you. I've been telling you and showing you what's been going on in my life, man, all these years. My children were impacted by this in 2004 when I worked for the state of Maryland as an employment specialist. When people use the same conviction against me to hold me for a year and a half without bail, I have the video of the trial. I would like for the public to see it, to see how these people tried to send me to prison again for something I had nothing to do with, and they knew it. And the state's attorney worked in Marilyn Mosby's office.
Who was the state's attorney in your case?
Her name, what, in my original case?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Was that Kurt Smoke?
Huh?
Wasn't Kurt Smoke, was it?
No, Smoke was the one. See, Smoke was the one that actually handled my release.
Oh, well, thank God. Thank God. I'm glad to hear something good today.
No. Yeah, well, I have nothing but respect for him.
Okay. Big ups to Mr. Mayor.
I didn't appreciate. He became the mayor, didn't do shit, didn't do nothing to help me then. But yet instead on Shelly Line, he said he was going to do something. I tried to get appointments with him. He made appointments with me and then canceled them, saying it was a conflict each time.
Well, Mr. Vass,
when he became the dean at Howard University, I was dealing with organizations down in New Orleans that actually had students from Howard University going there to do work for the people who were in Angola State Prison. So I backed up.
Angola,
because I didn't want my issue to create a conflict.
Angola prison down in Louisiana?
Yeah, down in New Orleans. That's where my partner John Thompson came from, the fellow that served 18 years on death row in Angola. That was my soldier. That was my brother. Me and him started resurrection after exoneration. Great.
Mr. Vass, you have to, can you share with me
She like that.
I heard you just used the word, that was my brother.
He passed, bro. He passed from a heart attack. You understand? I was on the phone with him. He got off the phone with me, man. We was talking. My birthday is September the 7th. His birthday was September the 6th. A couple days before his birthday, we were on the phone talking. He has property there. And he was talking about the young lady here that lived in one of the properties had started acting crazy and he wanted to have her removed. He had called the police, they was waiting for him to come. He sat down, he told me, he said, man, I don't feel good. I said, Slim, I see you stressing too much. He sat down, he said, let me call you back. He sat down, from my understanding, on the step was waiting for the police to come and they said he fell over. He fell over, they said the ambulance would call and everything. You can read the story. Oh, you look for John Thompson, New Orleans.
Mr. Leslie Vass.
Yes, sir.
Right now, people are getting ready for this Santa Claus Day. And I see a lot of us, and I'm talking about us, because that's what I see the most of, stressing over a holiday, stressing over money, stressing over difficult people. You saying your soldier had a heart attack, and part of the underlying cause was this woman, was this person he was trying to help that was causing him stress. Any advice for us on dealing with stress?
Donnie, knowing being where I'm at these years now, and the things that I've experienced dealing with the state of Maryland and the mental stress that has caused me, man, over the years, I've learned to lean on faith, man, and keep it moving. Not going to allow anything or anyone in my space that's not positive. I don't care who it is or what it is. I'm tired. I want to live life and enjoy life. I haven't, Donnie, the state of Maryland stole a life when they took mine. You understand, bro?
Yes.
I'm being honest, man. People think about money and be stressed. People think about everything else, but they don't recognize the reality that just being able to do and wake up using the opportunity to make a difference.
Amen. You saying the fact that God woke us up, that alone is the gift.
That's the gift, bro. What we do with it is where we go from there. I ain't in jail no more. Everything I do is go forward, not backwards. I've stumbled because I'm human. You know what I'm saying?
So how do you train yourself to look forward? How do we do that? I think the whole world.
1 foot at a time, bro.
1 foot at a time.
1 foot at a time, right in front of each other. You understand? Keep it moving, man.
I heard Judge Maybelline say on one of her commercials, she said, no matter what you're going through, if you keep walking, it was so simple. She said, if you keep walking, you're going to get through it. And that makes sense.
That's it, Don. That's it. That's all we can do, man.
Mr. Leslie Vass, I saw you on Pennsylvania Avenue over there by the mural, and I remember seeing you, and I want to thank you for being a kind person in the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue community where they selling dope, coke, rock. I remember seeing you, and you were like a breath of fresh air. You had a smile on your face, and you inspired me that day, because I said, if Mr. Leslie Vass can smile, I know damn well I can smile.
That's it, bro. Come on, man. That's it. Love you, man. I got all the respect in the world for you. Talking about emoji tell us I would really love to meet her.
I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to send her your number.
Please, sir. Thank you.
I wish I would have known sooner. Shucks.
Look, man. When I got back here from California, I'm going to be honest with you, I was traumatized, man. I was homeless and traumatized. The COVID had come when I was en route back here, my vehicle broke down in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. I was down there for 4 days. Oh man, then when I finally, by the grace of God, was able to get back here and try to get situated, I'm notifying the state about what happened out there. Here it is 2020, 21. And you people still coming up with this thing that you took a job from me. I need to work 1 year. I need a job now. 65 years old, after all I've been through with the state, I need a job to work 1 year to earn my full retirement from the state. After everything I've been through with these people. So now Sister Jill Carter, Senator Carter, set up an appointment for me to meet with the governor, the treasurer, and the controller for the state of Maryland. They did a Zoom meeting with me about my complaint, right? They got it. That was last year. They ain't did nothing. They think that because they gave me that compensation from the Walter Lomax Act, it's supposed to satisfy me. They forget they bought a life. I'm not cheap. They took my life. I was playing basketball. Do you understand, bro? You know? And so I got to keep on moving. I got to keep on striving and step forward and tell what's going on and let people recognize this is a civil rights violation of the utmost degree. I've read of many cases, but I never believed that I would ever have to deal with something like this for as long as it's been 46, 47 years.
I wanted to ask you, when you learned about Nelson Mandela coming off of Robben Island after 27 years, could you relate to that at all?
Yeah, I could, man. Yeah, I could.
What crossed your mind?
What crossed my mind? He breathed a sigh of relief just to be away from the atrocities of not having a right. You know, when somebody tell you when to go to the bathroom, how to go, what to do, how to think, what you are, who you are, you're nothing. You know, man, your whole being is nothing but that. Just imagine years and years and years of this.
What did you see? What did you conclude about the criminal justice system and our black people?
Now you know what it is. They said miseducation. Now this is the total corruption. This has been going on for years and it's still continuing. There are organizations that are fighting to try to minimize it, but there are others that are stronger than that are still standing on their principles of that old buddy, old boy system from years ago. So that's part of this, and it's going to stay part of this system.
You know, I shared some statistics before you came on that America represents 5% of the world's population.
Right.
But America has 25% of the world's inmates. Black men are the largest demographic, and black women is the fastest growing demographic.
Yeah.
So now our sisters, and you look on these streets and you see sisters.
I know, man. I see it.
Sisters looking rougher and rougher, and sisters looking like Ravens linebackers. Jack.
No, bro. I was late because I was taking care of a matter, right? I reach out. I believe in what goes around comes around. The law of karma is, you know? And
so that means Donald Trump is going to prison.
Yeah, well, he should have been going to prison. He should have went to prison years ago.
Matter of fact, he ain't even got to go to prison. I just want to see him get his ass whipped. Because that's what he need. If somebody correctly chastise him, he wouldn't treat people like that. That's a bully.
Yeah,
that's a bully who never met his match.
Hey, but you know, that's a lot.
Hey, no, it's not. Hey, Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, man, please.
He was a billionaire, and he died in a hole alone.
Yeah. So it shows you exactly what that means. And then about a dollar. I remember when somebody said to me, you know, Shorty Goose was my godfather, man.
God rest.
Lady called me his nephew, George, and I love him to death, man. I was raised by these people when I first come home from being inside the institutions and stuff. But my focus has always been about positive because that's what they showed me, you know. But I remember that Bruce said to me, he said, you know, Shorty, he said, as long as they print it 45 minutes away from here, we can get it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. You know, we lost a soldier.
Just think. We don't have to be on no corner. I ain't got to stand, man. I don't let nobody put me back where I struggled and fought to get away from. That's why I be saying these people got the games with.
Yeah. Did you know Malik Rahman?
Yes, I knew Malik Rahman.
Malik Rahman got his wings last week.
Really?
He went home to glory. He had
Oh, I didn't know, bro.
yeah.
I heard about JW down on Emerson Avenue.
Yeah, Malik Rahman. And they said Malik in his day helped a many brother come home.
My brother, man. Good soldier, man. Good, great brother. I think we was in Hagerstown together. I believe we was in Hagerstown. I didn't mean to cut the guy off. I'm sorry, man.
How did you keep your humanity?
Look, I went to prison when I was 17, a kid. I was locked up with other individuals. I won't name a lot of these individuals because these individuals, people end up owning clubs and all that other kind of stuff and becoming well known in the Maryland system about other things, okay? And all of us grew up in that environment, and we were what they call comrades. We had a respect for each other as men, as youth, until we became men. That respect is what you're saying when I got off my car down there.
Yes, sir.
With the brothers down there around Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yes, sir.
When I go over East Baltimore, the same thing. I go anywhere, wherever I go, because that's where I cut. I cut that way when I first went to prison, and I cut that way as I'm home. And I live by that. There's certain rules that's embedded in you that you don't have to talk about that specifically. It just states what you did. Simple as that. So, you know, some guys be talking about, that dude ain't no man. I don't want to hear all that, man. I ain't got no time for nobody like that. I'm on some other stuff. It's about progress and moving forward, man. As long as we beat up on each other, man. I've lived in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, and everything as a child before I went to prison. I learned a lot. I lived. Okay?
What you know about Bed-Stuy? You know about Nostrand Avenue, Fulton Avenue?
My God-sister never lived up there, still live up there. I still run back and forth Bed-Stuy, do or die. What are you talking about?
Flatbush.
I was in there throwing down in the courts in between the buildings, right? Read my story. Check me, hey, Daddy. You forgot I was the best I kid?
Man, why is Brooklyn so mean? We were up there, we were doing a Black Wall Street Award. We've done several in Harlem. We've done a couple in Manhattan. But Brooklyn, Mr. Leslie Vass, this was 7 o'clock in the morning. And this old lady was driving. She was at the traffic light and taking too long. And this young brother cussed her out like she was a sailor. I'm like, it ain't even 7 o'clock.
Hey, look, I don't know what to say, but I have to say this. The younger generation has I believe what it is that the direction that has been given to them, they choose to take their own, right? And I don't try to understand it. I try to navigate with them to the point where they'll see where I am and what I do, and hopefully that gives them a different view of what's forward, what they need to do forward. You know, because it's I don't mean no harm, man. I hear the news, man. The case that's going on with young brother down there that happened, the squeegee thing, man. And I stop and I think about when I was 17 and I went to the courthouse July the 2nd, 1975, just thinking that I was going there for a hearing and end up getting getting locked up and end up getting a 20-year sentence and didn't see the streets for another 10 years. You understand?
They threw that charge on you.
You see what I'm saying? And I look at now and what's going on. I'm glad that Mr. Gordon has his case and is doing at least what he's supposed to do as an attorney, because he's securing his rights. If a conviction happens, I'm not saying that it's not, if it is, whatever, because nobody has control over that until it goes before a jury. But the thing about it is, it's sad that a situation of that magnitude had to come about, and look at the kids that are involved in it.
You know, Mr. Vass, as you're talking, I remember as a young kid, they said, don't throw bricks at the penitentiary.
That's right.
Have you ever seen young people this off the hook before?
Never, man. I don't mean no harm. I don't, to be truthful with you, I was out Cali, out Oxnard. I used to go in the city and network with a dude that was a former basketball player that played for the Miami Heat out there, a friend of mine. And I rode in Compton. I've been around. I've seen different things. I've been in New Orleans, down in, Ninth Ward and all that. You understand? On St. Bernard and Charles and all that down there. You know, I ripped and ran in them areas and did my hanging out and all, okay? And I was seeing stuff the way I see it now, bro. And it's sad. It's sad, you know. And I look at, I got grandchildren. You know, I have children, I have grandchildren now. I have grandchildren that are just turning into teenage years, you know. And I try to maintain a close contact with them as much as I possibly can with the ones that I'm allowed to see, you know.
You know, that's a whole nother ball of wax. You got some people who not even behind prison walls, but for whatever reason, it's a thing called parental alienation, where for whatever reason, a father, a mother does not get to see their own child or grandchild. They got grandparent alienation too.
All right. Yeah, I know, bro. Believe me. I know. I had to hit somebody. Let me stop. But, you know, no, I do that legal thing, man. I don't be playing about that. I be like, look, let me say something. I have rights as a grandparent. You know what I mean? I don't know if you understand it, but I do this for real. I didn't learn just my case law. I learned law.
What happened to us that we have to bring, as they say, the white man into our situation? What happened to us that we fell so low? And a guy wrote on there, Quest wrote, is daddy issues. What happened to us? Is this just slavery relived, Willie Lynch all over again?
To me, that's what it is. Let me share something with you, Donnie, that happened to me that really caused me to really want to leave Maryland and never come back here. In 2004, I was working for DALA, Department of Labor License and Regulation.
Yes.
John Jeffries, Senator John Jeffries, was the secretary of the Department of Labor License and Regulation at the time. I got in the job in 98. 2004, I was a spokesman. They had me going out doing speaking engagements and everything in regards to DALA, what it was about, Department of Labor License and Regulation, what it was about and everything. I was getting awards, commendations, and all this. So I went to work one day and they told me that they did a random check of my name, as they do all state employees, and a warrant had showed up.
Come on, man.
I didn't know nothing about what was going on no warrant. So
that was your job? That meant your job?
Yeah, so they was at the job. He was at the supervisor of the actual uh security. You know what I mean? I don't want to miss him today because he did me a favor by telling me, right? And what I did was I contacted a friend of mine who was a former delegate, right? Named Ken Montague.
I remember
Asked
Ken.
I know I asked Ken to check to find out if it was a warrant for me, but I had done anything. I don't know why these people are actually doing this. So um, he called me back and said, "Yeah, Leslie." He said, "But it's not showing what a charge is or nothing." So I said, "Man, we need to get this resolved because I don't need no foolishness with these people." So he said, "All right." He said, "Let's arrange something so we get you processed. We can walk you through, get you processed." At that time, Donnie, I was part owner of a bail bond business called Action Bail Bonds that sat directly across the street from Baltimore City Jail. My partner was a guy named Ray Frazier, who was the oldest African American bail bondsman here in the state of Maryland. Him and that guy named Hawk over there on Greenmount Avenue started out together years ago in the 50s when they was doing that, right? So I'm thinking, all right, well, whatever this foolishness is, to get it taken care of. They walk me through. I get in there. I turn myself in. Imagine after being locked up for something that you didn't do, actually turning yourself in mentally, putting yourself together to turn yourself in to these same people who shown you their system ain't no good. But before I went in, I had sense enough to take $80,000 in bail bonds with me. My paperwork showing that my records was expunged and all this stuff. When I go before the court commissioner, she asks me a question. Mr. Vass, okay, the charge I was charged with was first degree attempted murder, first degree attempted assault, all this other related cases, charges. So I said, Miss, I don't know anything about none of this. She said, well, have you been convicted of a felony since you were 18? Now, the only felony I was convicted of was this armed robbery, right? But it's been expunged. I got a pardon. It's been 2 times that I got 2 more pardons.
So this is a trick question.
Yeah. No, Donnie, just listen to this. They took my kids and put my kids in foster care. Told me that I was denied bail based on my wrongful my 1975 armed robbery case. I have a video that shows the bail review hearing that. Do you understand? You mean to tell me you people are so insistent upon making me a criminal, no matter what I do to try to move forward in my life, without your help, the same stuff that the Walter Lomax Act supposed to have that you get, I was supposed to get when I made an agreement with the state. I had the full agreement signed by them, the original, signed by them, where I was supposed to get assistance with housing, all this other stuff that they supposed to did, that they put in the Walter Lomax Act was in my agreement with the state of Maryland. So you ain't giving me nothing but what I should have gotten back then.
You know, Mr. Leslie Vass, I want to commend you for being a shining example of not giving up, because these devils have done everything possible for you to just jump off into a subway train. But God made you strong enough to endure this, to teach us what we are dealing with. The average person would have took their own life a long time ago. But you have been strong enough to maintain, knowing that these devils coming at you. And you know, I was watching television last night. It was a television show. And every time this white woman got in trouble, she had, and I'm not picking on white people today, y'all white people, you good white people, relax. But I was just looking at this concept of white privilege, like Karen, like white privilege wanting all of these extenuating circumstances. And I need you to understand this. And I need you to understand that. I need you to understand this. People in trouble want you to understand their situation. But these are the very same people who have no understanding of your situation.
That's a horrible mentality. Hey, Daddy.
I'm right here, man. It's just a wonder you ain't snapped. You know, I look at these mass shootings out here. You know, somebody 17 years old and lost their mind, and next thing you know, they done shot up a room full of people. You've had a reason to blow up a whole damn country.
No, bro, we ain't going there. We ain't getting them that satisfaction. We gonna make these people do what they supposed to do.
But they want us to understand when they stump their toe, they just stump their toe.
Yeah, but
and they crying, oh my, don't you feel sorry for me? Donald Trump, he wants us to feel sorry for him. When he shouldn't even, man. He's a traitor. He should be shot. Traitors get shot. He's a traitor.
Hey, guys, he thought that they were going to get rid of him, boys.
Because it puts white privilege on trial. Donald Trump is white privilege on trial. End of story. And if you don't chastise him, it's only going to come back to haunt you. You can push it. You can kick the ball down the field like they've been doing with our public education system. Kick the ball down the field. But like Malcolm X said, sooner or later, the chicken will come home to roost. And they're going to have to put that rabid dog down. Because it's only life and death. It ain't no in between. You going to choose God or you going to choose the devil? You've inspired a lot of people out here. You inspired me, and I commend you for having semblance of niceness. How you doing, Mr. Vass? I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Hey, man. Hey, bro.
Because we've lost that.
That's where our problem has been with it's not with each other that our issue is. It's with the system that we've been forced to deal with. You know, if my situation sheds light and makes change, then I feel as though our ancestors have blessed me greatly, bro. I feel every day, Donnie, honestly, man, I don't get into the spirituality and all of no, bro. I feel, in all honesty, that those that have before me are the ones that's guiding my path and showing me where I need to be and what I need to do. I step away from dealing with people with their stuff no more because, man, that won't get me anywhere.
Mr. Leslie Vass, I got something I want to share with you. One of the people who I love researching is Harriet Tubman. Her real name was Araminta Ross.
Right.
And there's a movie on PBS. This is an old movie. I don't like some of these new movies because they want to make slavery popular. Ain't nothing popular about putting a chain on somebody. But she was helping this one ninja escape, and the ninja got cold feet. The ninja got cold feet in the middle of the escape and ran up on Harriet Tubman. He ran up on Harriet thinking she was a chump. And Harriet Tubman did a hip toss on him, did a judo move, and next thing you know, she had that Colt 45 in his mouth, right?
Right.
And she, yes, she did.
I think I said that.
So what I wanted to share with you on top of that was this story. It says, we, the willing, led by the unknowing, are doing the impossible for the ungrateful. We have done so much for so long with so little that we are now qualified to do anything with nothing. What I'm saying is we got people in our own race who will raise the question, why should Harriet Tubman get the big piece of chicken?
Yeah.
We have some of the most ungrateful people in the world.
Yeah, we do.
In our race.
I done met it. Believe me, I done met a whole lot of them over over these years, man, I've met a lot of snakes, man. I just, one that really got me is that I did something, man, thinking that, I went to somebody that I really believed and had thought that was going to be there for me as a man and as a brother that knew about the judicial system. This person used to be a lawyer, he was a judge and all that. Motherfucker took my paperwork and held my paperwork for almost 3 years, man. And then turned around and told me that he never accepted my case. He sent me a letter, sent all my stuff back. I seen him on a news, television interview with, not Glenn Denton, what was his name? Ehrlich. The lawyer, I saw the story on the TV, and when I called him, he acted like it was like it was nothing, man. And this person is supposed to be a civil rights individual here in the state of Maryland. I don't have no respect for him, none. I just don't get into it. But I filed a complaint at the Attorney Grievance Commission against this dude, and at the time the director of the Attorney Grievance Commission was a guy named Melvin Hirschman. He sent me a letter back saying that he disbelieved my complaint and denied it, right? I said to myself, by legally, if you knew that this man, I know you know him personally because I'm very aware of your relationship, but you wasn't supposed to be sitting in on it because it was an ethical issue then. But I'm not supposed to be smart enough to think these things will say that. So they dismissed my claim.
You'd be surprised.
Oh man, I know.
You'd be surprised how God can turn that situation. You'd be surprised how that man could be begging you to help him one day.
Look at me now.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. The good book. And I heard you allude to God. You said keep the faith. I know there's some times when you wanted to bust somebody's head, but I've learned, Mr. Leslie, just sit back, give it to the Lord, because God's payback, you can't touch God's payback.
I know. Believe me, I've learned. I've proved. Don't you see me?
Yes, big brother.
Okay, come on, man. Look at all them other stories. Michael Oleska that was right back.
Michael Oleska got kicked out of journalism for stealing people's stuff. He's a plagiarist. I ain't never plagiarized. I ain't gotta plagiarize.
Man, let me tell you.
And he was on TV all the time, spitting it like he was the truth.
I know that. How you think that people got the position? I can tell you and show you some things. Even the dude John Vidal, he took my story and him and Glenn Denton in 1995. Glenn Denton terminated my position with child support enforcement when it was with the state because I was going to do an interview with John Vidal down at Legal Aid. Legal Aid had approved it. The director of Legal Aid had approved it. It was scheduled to be done and everything. We go down there at my lunch hour, and next thing I know, we get a phone call from John Vidal saying that he's now been appointed to the Annapolis Bureau office, and he would be doing my interview. The man, the director of the legal aid said, "I'll be a motherfucker. These some bitch." Like, he said, "Man, I would never have believed these people would do this, but they did."
But you know what? Again, Mr. Leslie.
No, that showed me how cruddy this system really is.
It's cruddy, but it's people.
I filed a complaint against the city for them still using my case. They raided a house that they thought I had my paperwork in, knocked holes in the walls and everything. Had a search and seizure warrant, had never been signed by a judge.
Mr. Leslie Vass will go round.
Those are some of the things I went through over the years, man.
Will go round. It'll come back around. And if it don't touch them, it'll touch their children. You done seen it. You be like, look at the Kennedy family. I mean, damn.
Yeah, man. Sad.
I ain't saying people deserved it, but hey,
Department just really gets me how select individuals will go after Marilyn Mosby about ethical things. But here it is, I can show you in paperwork and everything. And the man admitted it on this Zoom meeting with Senator Jill Carter, the governor's office, the treasurer's office, the controller's office, the general counsel for the state of Maryland. And since then, nobody has answered my claim because they feel as though what they gave me for the Walter Lomax Act supposed to take it, but it didn't. It didn't. It doesn't do that. You know? And that's the part that I'm trying to get people to understand. When your own government will blindly ignore facts of illegal things being done by select members of their staff. I'm talking about like, what's that? Hogan had a staff member that was charged with illegal shit just recently.
Oh yeah, stealing money too.
Stealing money and all that. Here it is. I got a man that he worked as the Attorney General for the state of Maryland that represent public safety and correctional services, the same place that controls all the criminal records, expungements and all. Do you understand what I'm saying? This man actually admitted that he went and got an expungement order done for me in 1998. And that same expungement order is shown that it's never been done. In 2004, I get a letter from the people at the Public Safety and Correctional Services, the managers of records, 4 different people sent me letters telling me that my criminal history was still in the records in their database at that time. I filed a complaint. They denied. The woman that sits with the treasurer's office in Annapolis, her name is Joyce Miller. She worked with this man. And I'm saying to myself, who do I go to now? This is collusion of the worst kind. Ethical violation of the highest degree. But they go after Marilyn Mosby because she wrote a name on a piece of paper about a house in Florida. You stole a life. These people in lied, said that a judge's order was signed. If I took a piece of paper in there and had a judge sign an order and did not abide by it, what would happen to me?
That day will come,
why,
Mr. Leslie Vass.
Why is the Attorney General immune from it? You get what I'm saying?
They not. Sooner or later, we all got the answer. And that day will come. And I'd like to be there to see it. That's all we got time for, Mr. Leslie. We got to bring you back on another show.
Every blessing, man. Anytime.
Thank you for enlightening us. Thank you for inspiring us. And if ever I can be of service, you got my number.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. And I'm sorry about the delay this morning.
It's all good, big brother.
Peace, man. Y'all have a good one. Take care.
Yes, sir. We're going to get on out of here for the day, folks. Mr. Leslie Vass, Maryland's first exoneree compensated, but they still taking from him. A lot to think about right there. I remember Kathleen Kennedy Townsend was running for governor. She told Malik Rahman he wanted to introduce her to some people. I'll never forget Malik Rahman telling me this story. He said, you know, Madam Lieutenant Governor, come here, I want to introduce you to some people. And this is what he said. He said she came over to him. She said, look, I'm not my father. I'm not my uncle. And turned her ass around and walked away. And you want us to vote for you. She found out, didn't she? My name's Donnie Glover. And you've been watching BlackUSA.News. Have a beautiful day. Hope you learned something. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Because what goes around comes around.